All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? We got a very special interview tonight. This man before us is an International Combat Sports Hall of Famer, a world kickboxing champion, a former K-1 Grand Prix finalist, and a man who has coached several boxing world champions and one of the greatest UFC heavyweights of all time in Francis Ngannou. Please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Dewey Cooper. How are we doing, Dewey?
I'm terrific. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm very excited to talk to you. I got, like I said, I got a bunch of questions, and I'm excited to get into it and pick your brain, knowing how long you've been in the game. So, very excited.
Yes, sir. Well, we're having exciting times right now. Right now, I'm in Houston, Texas. Saturday night, my UFC fighter, Ode Osbourne, is fighting here in Houston. So, hey, we're excited.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of a perfect segue because that's my first question. As you mentioned, Ode is fighting. He's fighting Alibi Idris,
Yes.
who, for those of you who don't know, he just fought Joseph Morales at the tough final. He lost. But I've watched some tape on this fight, Dewey, and I think this fight's going to play out mostly on the feet, where I think Ode might have an advantage. I wanted to get your thoughts on where you think Ode's biggest advantage might be in this fight.
Well, this guy's from Kazakhstan, so I know a lot about Kazakhstan because I trained Baby Shumanov. He was the first boxing world champion from Kazakhstan, even before Triple G. So I spent extensive time in Kazakhstan. So being that's the case, I know how these guys train. I know how they fight. Kazakh has a bunch of warriors. They fight very aggressively. They're normally well-rounded because they have a lot of taekwondo and stuff like that there, and they do a lot of wrestling. So the guy only has one loss. He's 10-1. Idris that Ode's fighting. I expect him to come with a striking pedigree, but I expect him at some point to take it to the ground and try to take Ode down and submit him. And saying that, Ode's ready. His striking's on point and his grappling's on point. So it's going to be a fantastic fight. And we're expecting a terrific victory for Ode.
Yeah, I mean, Ode is obviously coming off that big knockout of Luis Garul, that kind of got him back on the winning track. I guess from your perspective, when you're watching tape on Idris, like what kind of, I guess when you're going through it with Ode, what are you trying to show him? What are you trying to tell him? Because when I watch Idris, I'm seeing fast striking, I'm seeing powerful kicks. But Ode's the same way. He's very fast, very powerful, very fluid striker. I guess what are you talking through Ode when you're kind of drilling tape?
Well, not to give away any game plans, but Ode is a dynamic kickboxer, and we plan on putting that on display. So I just want Ode to be himself, no stress, just express, and do what he does best. Land that left hand and that right hook and drop another guy. He's knocked down his last three opponents in a row. And remember, his last opponent was Ursay on a short notice. We fought a top 10 guy on a short notice, and I felt like he won the fight. He ended up losing a split decision after the knockout you mentioned. So I expect Ode to do what he did last fight, but we had a real camp versus a week, and he'll be able to keep that striking on full display.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ode's shown out in his last couple of fights. I think that last one kind of, I think it kind of went against him when it probably shouldn't have. I think if we're talking damage-based scoring, he probably did more damage in that fight.
And remember, he got 2 knockdowns. He knocked him down in the first round. That's the thing about the scoring is so subjective. In boxing, if you knock a guy down, it's automatically a 10-8. In MMA, it's not the case. And we should have had a 10-8 round in the first round, which should have guaranteed us at worst a draw. I thought he won the fight, but we didn't. The judges see it the other way. It is what it is. He's prepared. He's at a full camp for this fight, and I'm expecting to see a extravagant striking performance by Ode Osbourne.
I love that. I love that. So I guess you've been working with Ode for a few years now. Where do you think he's grown most as a fighter since you started working with him? And then where do you think his biggest room for improvement still is to go?
Well, I think more than anything, his continuity as far as striking and the grappling. Remember, he can wrestle. He wrestled in high school, so I think just with his experience and having a true team that loves him and that's there for him, he's really developed a well-rounded game. He can mix it up better than what he has in the past, and he's going to be more relaxed and much sharper. So I'm expecting to see an improved Jamaican sensation in every aspect. But to answer your question, it's just more of a continuity into his well-roundedness is how I like to put it.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that Ode has submission victories. He has submission victories on his record. Like he can get subs. He can grapple, for
Yeah.
sure. So I guess in the last question here, you already kind of alluded to it. He does have a full camp this time. What has the camp looked like for Ode? How is he feeling? And where do you think his mindset is going into this fight, knowing that he does have a full camp and he's had time to prepare, knowing his opponent and all that stuff?
Well, I know his mindset is really confident and positive. His last three fights, he should be 3-0. This should be going on his fourth win in a row. You remember the UFC Noche show? He drops, our guy, the kid he fought.
Ronaldo Rodriguez, I believe his name is.
Yeah, but he has a nickname. We call him something. But anyway,
he's the guy with the really big smile. He's always smiling.
yeah. I felt he won that fight. I had to not be in the corner because I had Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia. I was in Riyadh training Francis when that Noche show happened. I wasn't in the corner. I felt he won that fight. The next fight, he knocks a guy out. The last fight, we dropped Ursay twice. Oh, they should be 3-0. The reason why I'm bringing those past fights up is because he feels very confident. He's ready to go. We're ready to see him put on a great performance, whether it goes to the ground or not. And I think he's going to look really sharp and get his hand raised in victory.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Ode. I know I know you might not think about this, but he's a slight dog this week. He's a very slight underdog. I think he has good value. I think Ode matches up with this guy really well. He's longer and he's just as slick of a striker. And people will say that the grappling might be an advantage for the other guy, but he has to get it there first. He has to get it there. So
he definitely has to get it there, and I don't think it will be an advantage. Ode is well-rounded, and he'll show that on Saturday night, the 21st of February. As far as underdogs and favorites and betting odds, that means nothing to us.
yeah,
These are people making these odds who either are retired from fighting or never fought. And these are people who weren't in the training camps of either opponent. So you just never know the true story. So the odds mean nothing to us. We go to every fight with an expectation of victory. And this is the same Saturday night. We're not coming there to lose. And if we weren't successful, it would be a surprise to us because we expect success.
I love to hear that because I've been banging the drum for Ode a lot lately in my MMA group chats and stuff like that. I really think he does have some clear advantages in this fight. And I think it's gonna be a fun one. So like Dewey said, UFC Houston Saturday. Ode's fighting Idris.
Idris.
Idris. I didn't know to pronounce it 100%, but it's going to be a great fight, folks. It's going to be a great card. So I kind of want to segue into your life. I watched the interview that you had on YouTube with Eric Nixick, where you kind of talked about your childhood, and I was curious, like, who was your favorite fighter when you were growing up? Like, who did you look to for inspiration, or who did you look to for like, who was your favorite?
Well, my favorite fighter in boxing was, of course, Muhammad Ali. But my favorite martial artist, it was three people, honestly. But one was really important to me, and that's Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham. Peter Cunningham was my absolute favorite. But then I loved Rob Kamen, who's a friend of mine. I trained with him. I trained with Peter as well. Rob Kamen, and then Ernesto Hoost. These were my favorite guys when I was young as an inspiration to me. But I have to say Peter Cunningham was my favorite.
All right, awesome, awesome. I can't say I'm super familiar, but now I have another guy to go and kind of watch and see what he was like. Obviously, with Muhammad Ali, uh, I mean most everyone would say the greatest boxer of all time.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
the showmanship, the just the unbelievable ability in the ring. Do you remember maybe the first fight or your first like memory of why Muhammad Ali was so captivating? Because obviously, like for me, I didn't ever see him live. I didn't ever see him.
yes.
In that time range. I don't know. He was kind of like early on in your life as well.
Yeah,
You're still fighting
yeah,
live. I guess. What drew you towards Muhammad Ali? I mean, there's a lot of reasons, obviously, but what drew you
yeah.
specifically?
Well, I was born in the '70s, right? And so I was born after civil rights movements and all of that. But I'm the youngest of eight. So a lot of my brothers and sisters were born before there was actual civil rights for black people in America. So coming in the '70s, America was a different place. People were starting to integrate more, and black and white people were in the same social areas, listening to disco and all that type of stuff. I remember this stuff, but when I talk to my dad and my mom and my older brothers, and I look at the the times in the '60s and '50s and even '40s when my parents were born, it was a whole different America. Everything was segregated. Um, the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed since what 1865, but you had Jim Crow laws and all kind of things. So the racial tension was real, and Muhammad Ali was the first black man to get up on TV, on media, said I'm black and I'm proud. He stood for something. It wasn't just about the money he could make or how he could elevate himself. He carried a whole people and gave us pride. Muhammad Ali was the first man to do this. At the Olympics, win a gold medal and say he's black and he's proud. And he was just a beautiful warrior with who was outspoken and always represented the cause. So in my time, any black person, Ali was their hero because he was like a tsunami as far as the media is concerned. He was always getting publicized all over the world. He put his his standards on the line by going to jail instead of fighting for a country that he felt like we were being treated as second class citizens. The history of Ali is way beyond boxing, way beyond pugilism, way beyond sports, man. Ali is magnanimous in the world of greatest humans on this planet because he stood for something and money couldn't sway him. Fame, popularity, nothing could sway him. And so not only was he the greatest in the ring, winning the championship 3 different times, having his prime stolen from him by being in prison because he didn't want to fight in the Vietnam War, uh, came out and still was able to win another championship. Ali was just the greatest because he walked the walk, he talked the talk, and more important than any of that, he lived it. And so there was nothing like Muhammad Ali. There's a lot of popular fighters from the Mayweathers, the Habibs, the many great fighters, Pacquiao's, and all these names. But Ali is like the greatest ever because of what he stood for and how he lived at the exact time that it was needed for a whole nation of people. Uh, that's why he's my favorite.
That's really powerful, Dewey. That's a really cool answer. I love the way you answer that.
Yeah,
I've watched
that's
a lot of his fights, and man, he was special. And to your point, way more special
yes.
outside of what he did in the boxing ring. And what
Yes,
he
and one beautiful thing about since we're talking about sports, even the fight when he fought Sonny Liston, Ali talked a lot before the fights, and Sonny Liston was the Tyson of his day. Everyone was afraid of him. He was a complete killer in the ring, and when Ali fought him the first time, Ali was doing a lot of talking, and I'll never forget this story. Ali was getting his physical. He was getting his blood checked, right? Blood pressure. And Sonny Liston walks in this area. Ali starts talking all this crap. I'm the greatest, you too ugly, you a bear, whatever he was saying, right?
Yeah.
Sonny Liston laughs at him and said, You're scared. You're scared to death. I can see you trembling in your shoes. That's why you're talking so much. They took Ali's post. His post didn't change from before Sonny walked in the room, from when Sonny walked in the room. So the stuff Ali was saying, it wasn't just emotion or fear or nervousness. It was truth. He really felt that way. His heart rate didn't even raise. So this is the type of guy he was. He lived it, he walked it, and he talked it. And so that's why, Ali is the greatest too. And all the predictions he made before fights, the words he spewed were not cap or were not just for promotion. He really meant the words he was saying. And in the ring, he represented that. And that's another reason why, as far as the fighting, as far as strictly the fighting aspect of him, I respect a lot. Today, a lot of people do a lot of talking, but when they get in that ring or that cage, many times it's not the same energy. Ali was always the same energy.
Yeah, I mean, and even to that point, Dewey, even outside of the cage, people talk a lot of junk and they can't back it up. It's not just fighters, man. You know how it is on Twitter, you know how it is on X. Like people talk crazy
Yeah.
and it's stuff they wouldn't say. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been guilty of it in the past too. I've said some stuff where I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. I wouldn't say that in person, but yeah, to your point, Ali really walked that. He walked that walk. He talked that talk.
Yeah.
So
I live by that standard. I try to live by what I say I'm willing to do. If I'm not willing to do it, I try not to say it. But yeah, I just don't waste a lot of time talking crap if I don't mean it. And I'm not saying to be on some kind of humble, modest thing if that's not your personality. Say how you feel. But my point is really feel what you're saying. Don't just say things that are disrespectful or disingenuous if you truly don't feel that way. If you don't like someone, you have the right to express that. If you want to disrespect someone and you feel like that's how you feel, hey, that's not my style, but be it. But don't do things that you truly don't mean, because your words will come back to haunt you, because you have to represent what you say. Us as men, we have to represent our words. And so that's why, again, Ali was so great to me. He represented what he said.
yeah, 100%, dude, 100%. So the most interesting part of the Eric Nixick interview that I took away from it anyway, and you guys didn't spend a ton of time on it, but um, the way you grew up in, like you said already, a huge family. You had 7 brothers and sisters. You were the youngest, and you said that kind of put you in some maybe not so great scenarios for a younger child. You were in some
Yeah.
situations that probably weren't great for someone your age. Do you think that had anything to do with you deciding to be a fighter because you grew up around brothers who like to fight, and you grew up
Um,
around like
yeah, I think it's deeper than that. I think spiritually, I was just born more of a warrior mentality. Even when I was a little kid, if someone picked on me, I would fight them. I wouldn't go tell mommy and this sort of thing. Some people were just born loving to fight. Of course, me being in violent areas, my brother being gang members and going to crack houses at young ages and stuff like that, fighting people on the street a lot. Of course, that built even more wanting to be a fighter. But I was fighting people before I started doing martial arts. I started practicing Muay Thai and all these different martial arts to better improve my street fighting. So it was something that was more innate in me. It was a natural thing. And luckily I found martial arts to uh kind of shape me into a positive law-abiding person versus some kind of thug or violent, non-desirable type of person. So that's your question. Yeah, but I think it was something that birthed, man. I was fighting very young. I didn't like um, feeling in danger without lashing out. So it was something. Everyone in my house was pretty violent. My dad was a force recon Marine. It was, tough love in the house back in those days. Got our asses beat a lot. It was tough love. And I think all those things shaped that, but it was something within me that made me, I actually enjoyed fighting. And I wouldn't start trouble, but the moment something sparked, I would love it and go and fight quick. Like, quick trigger. It was a hair trigger when it came to that. And so I attributed to, something that I was born with. And luckily, I was smart enough to kind of control the demons through martial arts. And I'm still here to this day, over 50 years old, still doing interviews about fighting in martial arts. So I chose the right career path.
Yeah. I mean, because you always wonder about the butterfly effect, right? Like, if this didn't happen, what would have like? They always talk about that. Like, if this didn't happen in your life, where would you end up? And I think for your experience,
thing is, remember, no one made me fight. No one made me fight. I chose to fight. It was just something in me. Another passion I have, I love writing. I write poetry. I write songs. I just love to write. The only thing I did before fighting was writing. So if I weren't fighting, I'm sure that it's just in my soul to fight. But writing is another thing I love to do. I've written so many different things, so many different short stories and poems and things like this. But writing is my hobby. Fighting is my spirit. It's my soul. So it wasn't that my brothers beat me up or they didn't tell me they loved me or something. It was in me anyway.
That's a really cool story, Dewey. I was fascinated by that part of the interview specifically. So I gotta ask, get in your mind, take me back to 2004, your best run in the K-1. You had that 3-fight night, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson in the crowd watching you fight. You beat Mighty Mo, who's 82 pounds bigger than you. I watched that whole fight card last night to kind of get a feel for what it was like, because I started watching before the Pride days, before the K-1 days, where there were these tournaments where people would fight multiple times a night. What was that night like for you professionally? Because that it just seems like just a really cool experience all the way around.
Yeah, man, that's the most incredible night I've ever had. Because Mike Tyson always came to see me fight. Him and I were friends for years. Muhammad Ali actually came. I met Muhammad Ali about 3 months before. He had a granddaughter who graduated from UNLV, May Ali. And I went to her graduation party at their house, and Muhammad Ali was there. And a boxing coach named Wilson Smith, Honey Boy Wilson Smith is what they called him. I called him Honey Man. He introduced me to Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali, when he first met me, the first thing he said was, the guy told him I was a kickboxer, blah, blah, blah. He put his hand up and said, "Show me your jab." And I'll never forget, I punched Ali so hard I'm a southpaw. I hit him with the right jab so hard in his hand. Boom, hard as I could. He shook his hand and said, "You a strong N-word." I was hyped for months over that. And so, yeah, Ali told me, he asked me, you fight? When are you fighting? I said, yeah, I have a fight coming up in a few months at the Bellagio. Shortly told him about it, got some pictures with him. And then, of course, everyone took him away from me and all of that. And bet your ass, that night, K-1 tournament, we all get lined up, introduced. After my first fight, I beat the Japanese champion, Nobuo Hashi, who was 6'5", 245 pounds. I beat him. After that fight is when my next matchup was Mighty Mo, and that's when Ali walked in. After my first fight, before my second fight, Ali walked in. He looked at me and pointed at me like I'm here. And man, that was the greatest moment ever for me, to have Muhammad Ali actually come to watch me fight. Mike Tyson was there. That was great too, but he had seen me fight before. So that was an incredible night. I fought Mighty Mo after that. He had never lost. I was the first one to beat Mo. Cal Kalai, the little top fighter, beat him after me. And I'll never forget going in against Mighty Mo. It's my most memorable fight because he was hitting so hard, guys. Like my whole life, I always said, I want to fight guys that hit like Mike Tyson, guys who got this ultimate power. Because I believed in my defense. I felt like I had a skill set that could beat any brawler or whatever. When Mighty Mo hit me that first time, my whole body went numb. I was like, holy hell, this is too much. This is too much. It was a crazy night for me. And I remember.
I noticed that when you took that first punch, I was like, that caught his attention.
Yeah, I said, whoa. After the first round, the craziest story ever. After the first round, I sat in the corner and I looked at my coach, One King Nick, and said, I'm getting knocked out tonight, Nick. That's exactly what I told him. And Nick slapped me across my face and said, what are you talking about? You won that round easy. Keep sticking and moving and kicking his leg.
That's what I was going to say, dude. The leg kicks were hurting him badly.
Yes,
he switched stances pretty quickly in the fight because those leg kicks were really bothering him.
Yeah, but in my mind, it was tough because when I'll never forget, when I hit Mighty Mo, it was like I was hitting something that made my punches come back, like hitting a brick wall. When I punched him, I felt no give, and I felt like it was breaking my punches. It was the weirdest thing. I just, kept my confidence and kept punching, moving, and leg kicking, and I got a victory. And it was great, man. 2 fights down in one night. And one thing a lot of people don't know, going into that final fight, Michael McDonald, I knew him. We were basically friends with each other. And I kind of admired Michael McDonald as well. He's one of my favorite fighters at the time. And it just happened to be we had to fight in the finals. I had 2 hard fights against big, strong guys. Michael knocked out both of his guys in less than a round each.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first thing the commentator said was like, Dewey's fought 4 more rounds in this guy. That's going to matter. It's going to matter. But I did want to ask you about that fight because what I found interesting, do you think that kick got you in the groin? Because that's where I thought the fight turned in that.
Man,
that kick was really hard, and it was in that range.
The kick definitely hit me. It broke my cup. He split my cup in half. I was swollen down there for 2 weeks after. I'm telling you, he kicked me in the balls so hard. I was hurt so bad. I cannot believe it. I was hurt, man. And the referee made me keep fighting. I had to keep fighting right there, no break. Yeah. There's a video people put out years ago called The World's Deadliest Low Blows, and they have that on there in slow motion. He definitely kicked me right in the balls. After it was over, I looked, my whole cup was indented inward, and my whole privates was swollen from my belly button down for 2 weeks. He hurt me very bad. And I don't know how I kept going because he punched me in my face after that and the referee didn't stop the fight. I had to just keep fighting.
Yeah, because I was wondering because like the video that I found on YouTube was very grainy. So it's like a little bit tough to tell, but I was like, that looked like it got him. And that guy kicked so hard.
So hard. And remember, I've never yelled in a fight in my life. He kicked me flat in my groin, and it was painful, but hey, I got through it. I felt the fight was a very close fight. I felt it could have went either way. I wish they would have gave us an extra round, but the low blow definitely damaged me a little bit. I felt like at the end I stole the fight. But a lot of people thought I won. Some thought he won. People thought he won too. So it is what it is. All I know, I fought 3 fights in one night. Came a round away from winning the championship against one of my favorite fighters ever too. So, it is what it is. One thing for sure, Ali came and said he was proud of me. Mike Tyson was like, you won that fucking fight, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But it was a great night for me. And they don't do those type of fights anymore. I'm one of the last guys who fought 3 fights in one night. So, hey, especially on American soil. So after that, they started doing the 2 fights. Glory got popular. They started doing 2 fights in one night. But I fought 3 full fights in one night, and it was awesome, man. People didn't realize I was only 200 pounds, barely scraping the limit. And I was fighting guys. Yeah. I was fighting guys much bigger and stronger than me. So it was a great time, and I wouldn't change anything in the world. I did my best, and that's all it is to it.
That's right. That's right. And that's a good lesson. That's a good lesson. You like sometimes you can try your best and it still doesn't go in your favor, but you just got to keep trying. I
That's
do want
right.
to go back to one thing you said there, though. You said Muhammad Ali said he was proud of you. What did
Yeah.
that moment mean to you?
Oh man, it was great. It was great. It was, it's surreal when you as a youngster idolize these people, and then when you meet them and they confirm things like tell you, "Hey, nice meeting you." Like Michael Jordan came and shook my hand, biggest hands I ever shook. They were huge. Uh, uh, After that, so it just meant that like, man, I can't believe like the people that I admire, shaking my hand and telling me I did well. And it's not that we need self validation, but it's good to hear from people that you view as supreme or superb or whatever. So it meant a lot to me at that moment. I was sad that I didn't win the championship, but man, the fight was close. Could have went either way. I caught him at the very end, and I'm mad. I clinched knee. I should have punched him one more time or high kick versus grabbing him trying to knee him because that held him up. Had I threw one more punch or a head kick, maybe I could have knocked him out with a second left in the fight. So that was one mistake I made. I finally caught him at the end with the left hand. We were exchanging, and he wobbled a little bit, and I went for the clinch knee, and I should have threw the right hook or my lead hand kick behind that left hand. When I watched that fight, that's the only thing I'm like, why did I do that? You know what I mean? But it is what it is. But I learned it made me a better coach. It made me understand, distance is better. I was so used to clinching, going for that knee to the chin. I should have threw the high kick on my lead hook behind my left hand. But it is what it is. You live and you learn.
Yeah, exactly. And like just to get back to the Muhammad Ali thing one more time, like they say, the saying, don't sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes because you might find
Yeah,
out they're not who you are. Obviously,
yeah,
for you, that's not true, and that's a really cool experience that you got to meet your hero and he was everything that you thought he was. That's really
yes.
awesome.
Yes, and that's happened to me too. I met guys who I loved, and they wouldn't take a picture with me and stuff like that when I was young. And yeah, it was like, man, I can't believe I used to like you. So yeah, fighters out there, I know you have your life, I know you have things going on, but when kids, especially kids, 16, 15 and under approach you, man, just give them a smile, a fist bump, or a quick selfie, something, man, because man, these kids, when these kids are young, they really admire the fighters. So just keep that in mind, guys.
That's a great lesson. That's a great lesson. Uh Dewey. I got another question for you here. You're one of I couldn't find exact stats. It's very hard to compile this, but you are one of very few that have a winning record in kickboxing, boxing, and MMA. I couldn't
Yeah.
find many others. What does that mean to you, and how proud are you of that accomplishment, knowing that you did it in three different disciplines and you were successful at all three?
Well, thing is, it's just it's integrity that you have in yourself because it all comes down to training and your team. And some guys get lazy. You'll be successful in one sport and do the next one and get lazy. For me, it was just about having great people around me. My coach, One Kick Nick, my coach, Jazzy Jeff Mayweather, Tony Valente, Master Eddie Flash Newman, guys like this, Master Terry Joe Blackburn, even my nephew David, who helped me late in my career. All these people, you know, who who team up and affiliate themselves with you are very meaningful. And then the rest is just you being true to yourself. You got to work the way you work when you were a white belt, when you first got started, aspiring to be like the best guy in the gym. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I always did. I trained hard. I had a rule. No one in the gym is training harder than me. I don't care who it is. Like, I've been in the gym with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and watch him jump rope for 45 straight minutes, hit the bag for an hour straight. And I've been in the gym punching a bag and hitting pads and shadow boxing and wouldn't stop until he finished. Things like this. You have to make sure any gym you're in, if you're working out, that no one's out working you. And that's a mentality that I had since I started, and I think that helped me be successful in all different fighting sports. And it's the main ingredient that has helped me be successful as a coach. You know, I won 10 world titles in all 4 different fighting styles as a coach: bare knuckle boxing, boxing, kickboxing, and mixed martial arts. And it's because I work hard, make my fighters work hard, and I think work is the #1 ingredient to success. Anything you do, if you're willing to work, a simple 4-letter word, work, you're going to be successful at some point.
That's a great answer, Dewey. And speaking of which, in that Eric Nixick interview, you also said that while you played college football, you were training every single day. Like whenever you were playing another sport, you were playing college football, you trained
Yes.
every single day, correct? You were still
Single
going
day.
every single
Yeah.
day.
Every single day. Yeah, I was still going to football practice and all that. Then go to kickboxing practice. Then I would run 5 miles. I literally trained every day, even on Sundays. I just trained. I was a lunatic. The only time I would not train if I was sick or injured. I train all the time. And I still do. People know me now. I still do now. I train all the time. Last night, Hanato Kanuto, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, undefeated mixed martial artist, we did cardio for an hour and a half upstairs in the hotel we're in right now at 2 in the morning. You know, I'm always working. To the day I die, I'm gonna be working, man, because work has changed my life. The mentality I have about working hard and being dedicated to yourself, it's changed my life. It took me from a kind of a negative street type of dude as a teenager to a collegiate athlete to a professional athlete to a world champion to a Hall of Famer. And the only thing I did was just worked. I never thought about doing any of that. I just worked and want to be the best around. Because if you're not the best in your gym, how are you going to be the best in the world? And so I always looked at it like that. If someone's in the gym better than me, man, I got to work harder. I have to do better than them. And I was blessed to be in Las Vegas, where we left LA and moved to Las Vegas, where some of the top in the world are. So I really had a lot to bite off. Being in the gym with a lot of great fighters, where I had to train longer and stronger than them. You know, in my head, it was never something that was spoken. I just said to myself, if I'm in the gym and someone starts training when I'm training, I'm not stopping until they finish. And that's a little hint for all you young guys. Don't have anyone in your area working more than you. I don't care. Work harder than them. If they're in there for 2 hours, you be in there for 2 hours and 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess you said earlier you've always had the fighting spirit, but where did you develop the work ethic? Did you always have that as well? Or like
Yeah, for
what?
sure.
Okay.
For sure. But that comes from being the youngest, getting beat up on by my brothers and sisters, always being underestimated, never getting the credit. That kind of created uh, an animosity of a competition, because my brother Paul was too big and too strong, so I couldn't beat him in anything. But I tried. I had animosity about being the youngest in the family, animosity about getting beat up on and picked on all the time. And at some point, they just developed just this desire to just not be beat and not be outworked. And I think that was the true ingredient to why I worked so hard, because I just wanted to not be the weakest in my family at first as a kid, and then it came to not being the weakest in the gym, not being the weakest in the city, not being the weakest in the state, not being the weakest in the country, not being the weakest in the world. You know what I mean? It just got bigger and bigger, but it's the same seed that sprouted that type of mentality.
That's an awesome answer. That's an awesome answer, dude. I appreciate that. Now I gotta ask you about this because I came across this online doing some research. You fought on the Strikeforce Playboy Mansion card.
Yes.
What was that night like? That just seems so out of left field to me. There was a Strikeforce card at the Playboy Mansion. Can you tell
It
me
was
about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, not that the Playgirls mattered and all of that, but yeah, it was the real Playboy Mansion. We got it's called the Galano or something, the
The
big
grotto.
jacuzzi. Yeah, I was in there, and it was awesome. I had a good fight too. The guy almost choked me out. I almost got tapped out, but the guy ended up testing positive for cocaine and steroids. But I beat him. But yeah, it was awesome. Christian Printup. was the promoter's name, who worked with Scott Coker. And Scott Coker and I had a great relationship. We still do to this day. Every November 10th, Scott Coker texts me and says, "Happy birthday, Dewey," etc. We had a long time relationship because he was the promoter for the K-1 USA. And then, of course, Strikeforce was his company. So anyway, Christian Printup had a company. He was doing WEC out of Fresno, California at the Tachi Palace Hotel. And UFC bought that out. So he started doing something called Tachi Palace Fighting Championships. I fought on there once. And then Scott was like, "You start doing MMA?" So they put me through the influence of Christian Printup on that Strikeforce Playboy card. And yeah, man, it was great, man. It was awesome being the Playboy Mansion. I never been there, haven't been there since. And it was a great fight in the cage because other fights were in the ring, doing MMA in the ring, besides my kickboxing fight. So it was awesome getting in the cage. And remember, the only reason why I started doing MMA was because way back then, people start saying, "Oh, you're a good kickboxer, but you're afraid to do cage fighting and do MMA and all this type of stuff." I'm like, "Bro, I'll fight any style. It doesn't matter. I'll fight." And so that's how the MMA thing started. In my heart, kickboxing is my art. I'm a kickboxer. I love striking, kickboxing/boxing. MMA was just something that I had to do to prove to people that, dude, I'll fight any style. And 20 years later, MMA is the top of the food chain. It's everyone. It's the biggest, best sport in the world right now. So they were all right. I was too big at it, wanted to stick to kickboxing the whole time.
Yeah, but at that time, who could have predicted it, right? Boxing was still the king for sure, and all that stuff.
Kickboxing, K-1 was more popular at the time. So yeah, I just, I laugh about that. I'm like, man, they were right. MMA is.
Yeah. I guess for you, so you're basically saying that was like a side quest. That was just like you had never had an intention to do MMA, and then somebody said, "Hey, you're scared to do this," and you're like, "Okay, well, I'm not scared, so I'm gonna do
it." Yeah. Because you remember, like Sergio Pena, the first jiu-jitsu coach in all of Las Vegas, I actually knew. He was trying to teach us jiu-jitsu way back in 1995, and we're like, "Nah, I'm a kickboxer." Back then, it was like this versus this. It wasn't mixed. So if you were a wrestler, you wrestled. If you're a boxer, you box. You a kickboxer, you kickbox. Karate guy, you karate. Taekwondo, you taekwondo. And you would fight each other, but it was for supremacy of the art, not to mix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even when MMA first started, the guys weren't mixed martial artists. They were fighting different disciplines against each other. It was versus each other. You know what I mean? So we had the wrong mindset when it came to MMA. We didn't look at it like, oh, we need to marry all these styles together and make the ultimate fighter. We looked at it like this versus this, jits versus wrestling, boxing versus kickboxing, judo versus kickboxing, Muay Thai versus Shotokan karate, all this type of stuff. Yeah. And that's why MMA wasn't something that was really like important to me, because it's like, I'm a kickboxer. I'm going to lead with the greatest kickboxers in the world. Like, there's nothing bigger or better than this. But I was definitely wrong, because no one knew how MMA was going to develop, be such an exciting sport, and start combining all those disciplines. And that was the point in the first generation we were all missing.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I guess you've kind of seen everything as a fighter. Everything as a fighter. You've done a bunch. How did that shape you as you transition into coaching, knowing that you've done it all, seen it all? How did that kind of develop or help develop you as a coach?
I think, of course, experience is always a good teacher. And not saying that you have to be a fighter to be a good coach, because there's several excellent coaches who didn't fight. But one thing about checking shin kicks and knowing the pain in that, blocking a kick to the body with one arm versus two, knowing if you block it with one, the shin can really damage your arm. If you block it with two, you could take 4 times as many kicks. These intricacies matter. And so I think all the experiences I had, especially when I went from cruiserweight to heavyweight, fighting these guys way bigger and way stronger than me, I had to really focus on my skills. my movement and my reflex and my defense. So I think in that aspect, it made me a proper coach because I know it's not just about punching someone, it's about hitting and defending as well. I'm not gonna say hit and not get hit. That's the ultimate goal in any fight, but especially in mixed martial arts, you're gonna get hit, kicked, or taken down, or clinched at least. So it's hit and defend. You know what I mean? And so me being a fighter, knowing how a punch feels, a knee feels, a kick to the sternum, a kick to the solar plex, checking low kicks, clacking shins for a whole fight. I know what that feels like, and I think that gives me a slight advantage on other trainers. Not all trainers, but other trainers, because I know the secrets of shin development and know how to talk to guys when their arm is hurt from blocking kicks, because I've been there. I've been in an arm sling and couldn't walk for 3 weeks after a fight and all these sort of things. And this is something that people underestimate. Checking kicks may seem easy, but it hurts too. So you have to have your fighters understand the things they have to do to really get their shins right, where they can check kicks and stuff like this. So my fighting, the experiences I've had have absolutely helped me in every degree.
Gotcha. Now, just quick sidebar here before I ask the next question, because you brought up leg kicks, and I did want to ask you about this. I have a cousin who fought several MMA fights. He was never amateur level, but he could throw a mean kick. He asked me to take one day, and I did to know what it was like, and it hurt so badly. My leg was black and blue for like 3 weeks. Is it just continuing to get kicked and your leg eventually calluses? Like, how do you continue to take those, like, as a fight goes on? Like, because they're incredibly painful. I took it on the thigh. I can't imagine what it would be like on the shin, the calf, where there's less muscle and there's less kind of surface area to kind of spread out the blow.
Yeah, well, now since the MMA guys are all doing calf kicks, in my time, no one really.
Ooh. Uh-oh. We lost Dewey. We lost Dewey. Oh, guys. I'm not sure what happened. We'll stay here for a second, see if he jumps back in. Yeah.
Sure what happened. Hey,
I don't know what happened.
They just blinked out. It's like it expired.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, we're back. So
yeah, I just clicked the link again. In my era, no one threw calf kicks because everyone knew how to check them. You know what I mean? If you go back to kickboxing, you don't see a lot of calf kicks thrown the way they are so prominent in mixed martial arts. So to answer your question, there's just certain things you do. Like for instance, you kick the bag a lot. After training, we kick the bottom of the bag to get our shins very hard. And then you do some things I'm not gonna tell you the secrets about to help them get stronger. But but kick the bag a lot. Low kick the very bottom of the bag. That's the hardest part because either the dirt or whatever they have in the bag settles at the bottom, so it's hard as concrete. You got to get what you have to get where you can kick hard things, and then there's other strategies and techniques you can do to get your shins harder. But the main thing is practicing, making sure you're checking kicks, make your guys put the shin pads on, and they go back and forth, clacking shins. You got to get used to that pain, man. Everything is conditioning. You know, you can actually condition yourself getting used to, checking those kicks and kill the nerves a little bit in there. You're always going to feel them, but it's guaranteed. A lot of my fighters after their fights can still walk and stuff because we do a lot with our shins and a lot of kicking with it for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I've had a lot of conversation with some buddies about this, knowing that I'm going to do this interview. The number one thing they ask is, what is it like coaching Francis Ngannou? That's the number one question I've got from everybody I've talked to. What is it like coaching Francis Ngannou? Obviously, one of the baddest dudes to ever step foot in an octagon.
I knew that was going to be a question. And it's a great question because I can tell you right now, it's painful. It's damaging, man.
I don't mean to laugh at that, but it's funny.
Yeah. You talked about experience. In my past fights, how it made me a better coach. The experience of fighting heavyweight, not being a heavyweight, but fighting against heavyweights in K-1 is what made me a better coach too, because my body is more durable. I can take more. taking punches from Gary Goodrich, Michael McDonough, Donald Carter Williams, Peter Arts, people like this, some of the hardest hitters in the world. I've been hit by them in real fights. So psychologically, training Francis, I feel like I can take it. You know what I mean? Just the mentality. I fought big, strong, hard-hitting guys before. So just that experience alone makes me a better trainer with Francis because so many times he's hurt me. He hurts everyone. I mean, he has power. When he's not even trying to throw it hard, he still throws it hard. So, it's very difficult. And a lot of coaches think they want to train Francis, but a lot of coaches just won't be durable enough to train Francis, man. It's a lot of pain involved, believe me.
Well, yeah, I saw in that interview with Nick Sick that you were talking about when he messed up his knee against Gane, and you would have shut the camp down because you couldn't bring anybody in to spar because you didn't want it to get out. And you said you had to take all the sparring rounds with Francis, and he was beating you up. And you said that was the most painful camp you've had. He was like, you were like, I'm almost 50, Francis. You can't be beating on me like this. I'm your coach. Talk me through that. Like,
Right.
said, hey, he's got to still get work in. Dewey, get in there.
It was 3 straight weeks. He blew his knee out 22 days away from the fight. And we had to go, covert. And like you said, no one can know. So Eric Nixick is hilarious. He's like, I'm not getting punched by Francis. So I'm like, cool. Because at first I was like, yo, we should split rounds. I do the first, you do the second, third, fourth. Eric said, you out of your mind? I'm not getting hit by Francis. So I ended up being the guy doing all the rounds. And I sparred Francis before in the past. But at this time, I wasn't training that much because I had so many people fighting. So I hadn't trained for kickbox type training. I went to the gym and did treadmill and stuff like this, but kickboxing training, I hadn't trained for a while. And the first week, it was painful. We sparred like 5 days straight just to make him burn calories and keep his fitness that he had created. And he beat me up 5 straight days in a row. Hitting hard too. I'm like, Francis, man, like, you're gonna kill me. You gotta hit easier. You can go like 60%, but his 60, like everyone else, is 80, 90%. So yeah. It was bad. He beat me up really bad the first week. I didn't get knocked out or anything, but I went home with headaches and all of that. The second week, I started getting in shape, so we started going a little harder, and I could hold my own a little bit. He still beat me up, but not that bad. And then the third week, I started getting really good shape, so we started having really good hard sessions. And he beat me, but he didn't beat me up. So
that's good.
I was getting better every week. But the thing is, I couldn't kick him in his leg. And you see from the Mighty Mo fight, when I get in trouble, I go to the leg kicks to take some of that power away from guys. Mind you, I had to stand in a close parameter of Francis and just exchange punches with him, man. It was brutal. Yeah. I couldn't run away and circle and kick the leg and move out of the way. It was toe-to-toe getting beat up, man. It was hell. It was hell. But remember, he ended up winning the fight. He beat Gunn on one leg. He couldn't move. Even in the sparring, we kind of stood there in close proximity and just swung on each other. And it was a 5-round fight, so we had to do 5 5s, which was really a nightmare for me. The first week after 3 rounds, I was so tired, he just beat me up for 2 rounds. Second week, I could do 5 rounds, but only 3 good ones. The third week, I could do all 5 good, so he got good work the last, 3 sessions. But man, it was awesome. Back then it was painful. I didn't hate it because I wanted Francis to win. It was bad blood with his ex-camp, fighting against a guy who he used to train with. I mean, it was a crazy. Stakes were high. Last fight in the UFC contract. Didn't re-sign with UFC. He bet on himself. If you lose the belt and this sign, you can imagine how it would have been. And he was on one leg, so it was crazy. And looking back, it was worth the beatings because he went out there that night and won a fight against Cyril Gane on one leg. He had cardio that people thought he wouldn't have. and he fought this guy really on one leg and beat him, guys, and you know, defended his UFC heavyweight title. So it was worth it, but it was definitely painful that the last of that camp.
Well, I think what people forget about that fight too is he was down 0-2. Like he lost the first 2 rounds, 100%.
Yes.
Like there's no debate.
Yes, because he didn't have any belief, any trust in his knee, and he just finally said, "Forget it," and started doing what he does. Yeah, man, it was a great night.
And in that 5th round too, it was up in the balance a little bit because Cyril got the takedown. But I saw that part of the interview as well. Francis faked him out with the heel hook, gave him the heel, knowing that Cyril would take it, and then he got the sweep, and that the rest is history.
That's right, and that was a plan. And Francis had told us he goes for heel hooks a lot. Francis had told us, so that was something Francis just knew. This is the type of intel you get when you train with guys. You know what I mean? You know, people always say, "Oh, sparring doesn't matter," and it doesn't necessarily matter. But those little nuances can come back and help you. And Francis, that was something he remembered, and he told us that would be there, and then therefore they worked it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, man, that was an incredible night, man.
And so with Francis, did you think when he hit Alistair Overeem with that uppercut that he might have done irreparable damage to Alistair? Because that was one of the craziest punches I've ever seen in MMA. The way Alistair's head snapped back was unreal.
Remember, that was our first fight together because before that, Francis had moved from France to Vegas. Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bunner called me on separate occasions about training this big African fighter named Francis. I didn't know who he was. They said, "I think you're the perfect coach for him because he loves to box a lot. And you have a heavy boxing pedigree with all the boxing champions I've trained." I said, "Cool, appreciate it. I'll do it." So anyway, Francis comes down, we meet, blah, blah, blah. We start training. He was scheduled to fight JDS at first in Canada. And JDS, something happened with a drug test or something, and they ended up canceling the fight. So we had been training for like maybe 2 months for that. And then later on, they gave us the Overeem fight. So we had been in camp for that. And so when he got the Overeem change, you know, when he got Overeem as an opponent, we just stayed in the gym. And this is before he went to Extreme Couture and started doing a lot of wrestling and stuff. So I was trying to get him to go do more wrestling. But we brought guys in that camp before Overeem. And if you go back and watch the interviews before, I told the world what was going to happen. A lot of people thought it was a 50-50 fight. They thought Overeem could do something with Francis. And I love Alistair Overeem. He's a K-1 guy. I love all the kickboxers. But the way Francis was demolishing people in sparring, he like demolished everyone. 5 to 6 different sparring partners I brought in. Francis stopped them all, knocking them out, hurting them all. It was brutal. So I knew going into that fight, there's no way Overeem's going to be able to handle this monster, this beast we have, man. Francis was just putting everyone lights out in training camp for that.
Yeah. I mean, that knockout to this day is one of the crazier punches I've seen in the UFC, like ever. It was wild.
And so when he landed that punch, I knew. First of all, each one of his uppercuts are extremely powerful. Remember, he did dirt as a kid, like 5, 6, 7 years old, digging dirt in Africa, in Cameroon. Your whole life digging dirt to pay for your school books just to go to elementary school. You do this type of stuff your whole life, you're going to have some serious strength. And look at the motion of digging and throwing sand. That's the uppercut motion. He's been developing that power since he was a baby. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something. When it hits, man, it hits. So I knew once he landed a punch on Overeem, as great as Overeem is, in an MMA glove, there's no way he'd be able to handle that type of force. I felt it all the time. He popped my shoulder out of place. He injured my elbow so many times. I already knew what was going to happen. And we had one little rule. I said, Francis, don't hit your coach harder than what you hit any one of your opponents. And he would laugh and say, "Oh, don't worry about that," and try to punch a hole in me through the body shield and stuff like that. So he does hit his opponents like he hit his coach for sure. On the pads, that is.
That's fair. So I want to shift gears a little bit to Mike Tyson. You've known him forever. Right? What was he like when you first met him and then compared to like now? It seems like he's obviously you know, he's gone through a lot in life, and he's kind of, you know, changed his life, and he's what people would consider maybe a much more positive person. What was Mike? What was Mike like when you first met him?
To be honest, I hate to say this, Mike hasn't changed a bit. He's still the same as that guy. A real dude, speaks his mind, says how he feels. I'm sure he has a little more control through wisdom and all of that understanding. But he has the same energy. He's he's very energetic. He's a serious dude. He'll snap on you quick if you piss him off, and he has the same energy to me. But I've been around the real Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? So he's exactly the same to me. He was just probably no, he's still aggressive with me too. So I mean, to me, he's still the same guy. He was cool to me because he liked me and I was cool and I was fighting and you know he respects fighters and stuff like that. And I never ask him crazy questions either. You know, you'll get on Tyson's nerves real quick with a lot of questions. So
Okay.
he's been the same to me. Just I think with age and children and marriage life and the religion, he's settled down more, but he still has the same spark and that energy where he's this close from being something you don't want to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And then to kind of bring this full circle on the coaching, what was it like working with Tyson in Francis' camp when he was getting ready for Tyson Fury? I mean, I'm sure that had to be just like an obviously cool moment for you. You're training one of the baddest dudes to ever step in the UFC. You're training him with one of the baddest boxers to ever walk the planet. You're kind of at the center of all of this. How
Yeah,
awesome was that experience in that camp?
it was awesome. When we finish this interview, I'm gonna send you a little video that uh someone did, and then they asked Mike right when we were at the gym training, and Mike says it all right there in his interview. Oh yeah, my friend Ellie Setback, he did an interview and he asked Mike, "Hey, how's it to be with Dewey Cooper and Francis and all of that?" And Mike answered that question. But from my perspective, I'm gonna send it to you after this, by the way. From my perspective, man, it was incredible because I've always had a lot of love and respect and admiration for Mike Tyson, Francis, being his coach and being with him through all the trials and tribulations that he went through in the fight world and all of that, and to see him transition from a popular UFC fighter to a heavyweight champion and a megastar, um, has been just such a profound experience. Put it this way, context. I'll give you clear context. I was in the corner. I was with Francis when we lost to Stipe the first time. I was the guy that people scrutinized and said I put towels all around his hot body and made him more tired. That was me. People didn't realize those towels were soaked in ice water. Those were cold towels trying to cool his big body off. We would never smother our fighter in regular towels. I had my hands damn near frostbitten the whole 5 minutes, you know, shuffle him through that ice cold water. And I'm the one put the towels on him, but they were freezing cold towels in that first Stipe fight. After that fight, I got death threats. People counted Francis out. He can't wrestle. His team sucks. All these things, right? After the fight, I was interviewed. Oh, what do you think? I said, guys, tonight we didn't do our best, but he will be UFC champion. I guarantee you, it's ordained. He will come back and win the UFC championship. I was the first one to say it after that bad night when the whole world were talking bad about us as a coaching staff and disrespecting Francis's name. I knew he was going to be champion because Francis is just that talented. He's that talented to where he wasn't going to be stopped. And so to combine everything with the mega fight, his first boxing fight against Tyson Fury, you know, with Mike Tyson coming to help us out was just, it was a fantasy come true. Not even a dream, because a dream aren't even that good. That awesome. It was a straight fantasy, man. And it was awesome. People don't realize Francis we trained for 15 weeks. Tyson came into the camp, did he would leave and come back and all of that. And we had the most incredible time, man. I've been friends with Mike forever. So, of course, Mike Tyson's always welcome to do anything that we're doing. And so for me to be in there with the next biggest star, Francis, to be with an icon like Mike Tyson, sweating together, training together, talking and laughing together, will be something that I'll never forget to the day I die. These are the type of experiences people can say what they want to say, that a lot of people will never get, will never see what it feels like. And I was one of the fortunate, blessed ones on this planet to do it. So I want to make sure I exactly describe to you what it was like. It was incredible. It was a fantasy. It was a rare moment that I'll definitely never ever forget, man. Alhamdulillah, that's all I can say for putting me in a position where I had that experience. It was so awesome, man. And then to go out there, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and beat Tyson Fury.
I was just gonna a follow-up question. I think he might have won.
The judges that night ruined the greatest story ever in boxing history, the greatest story ever in sports history, the greatest upset ever in all the sports would have been that night if the judges have scored it right.
I was just about to ask you. I watched that fight, and I think Francis won that fight.
Yes, we did too, man. But it's one of those things to where, okay, I get it. The world seen what happened. Guys, his first fight, he fought undefeated lineal champion who's younger and bigger than him. You see what he did. So that moment, man, the judges took the greatest moment in sports history from us, but everyone put some respect on our names, and they seen what it was. So, like I said, man, it was a dream to be a part of it. It was a fantasy. It was something that I'll never forget. And with experiences like that, I don't think it'll ever come to a point where it's that big again, but it makes me appreciate the smaller fights even more. The amateur fights that I go to, the pro debuts that I go to. It makes me appreciate those more because I've been to the highest peak, Olympian heights of the sport. And so anyone can someday try to achieve things like this because it all starts from your first fight and you just keep building. It could possibly happen one day. So it makes me appreciate coaching even more, just being at that level and having Turkey Ali shake, Your Excellency, take pictures with you and shake your hand and tell you how he appreciate your contributions to his cards and stuff like that, man. It's just an incredible feeling, and it's for sure something that'll be dear in my heart until the day it stops beating.
Dewey, I honestly, man, I can't think of a better way to end it than that. That was a great answer. I really appreciate you for all the time you gave me, over an hour. It's been amazing talking to you, but I want to give you the floor one last second to promote for Ode and yourself what's going on Saturday. Tell the people where you're going to be, tell them about the fight, and take us home.
Hey, this Saturday, February 21st, 2026, the Jamaican sensation has invaded Houston, and he's about to win his fight. So make sure you guys tune in on Paramount to check his fight out. As for me, our company, Team Boxing League, starts March 20th. Guys, the most exciting fight format in the world is Team Boxing League. Season 4 starts March 20th. If you guys don't know what Team Combat League is, go to YouTube, look up Team Boxing League. No, not Team Combat League, Team Boxing League. Go to YouTube, search up Team Boxing League, and I guarantee you're going to love it. 16 boxers in a 24-round match. Every round's a new matchup. Team Boxing League is the most exciting thing you'll ever see. Check it out. Season 4 starts March 20th, and it's going to be a great season, and I can't wait for Team Boxing League to start. You guys are going to love it, man. Team boxing, team professional boxing, there's nothing like it, man. So if you don't know Team Boxing League, go do your research. You're going to love it. Season 4 starts March 20th. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Dewey, you're the man. Can't thank you enough. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Peace.